what I said in the previous tape about Mahaprabhu and how Mahaprabhu Leela is external and Radha Krishna Leela represents the core of Mahaprabhu's essence. And this is the point of the 4th chapter of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and indeed the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita is based on this insight into Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And very astutely, Krishnadas Kaviraj quotes from both Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami in order to further, and of course from Srupa Damodar, to emphasize that particular point. So that is the Rupanuga point of view. It's not the only point of view. But it's the only point of view in the sense that it becomes the dominant philosophy of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, and everybody else has to interpret Mahaprabhu through the lens of Rupa Goswami's writing, because there's no competition, really. Once you have the rasa theory of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu established, I have spoken about this previously also. And I'm going to have to give a talk in a couple of days on Ketari, so I'm going to just wing on that for a little bit, because we're talking about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when I talk about Ketari, Ketari is a historical event. Maybe people don't know about it. If you've been around Krishna consciousness for a few years, then you'll know Ketari. Ketari is the place where Narottam Das Thakur was from. So Narottam Das Thakur went to Vrindavan. It's said that he went there and missed Rupa Goswami, I believe. So we were Sanatan. At any rate, he was there. He came, so that would mean 1568. Ketari, the festival, took place, I'm convinced, although nobody ever says a date, it took place on the 100th anniversary of Mahaprabhu's birth, on Dol Purnima, on Gaur Purnima. So it was the first centennial of Mahaprabhu's appearance. And the circumstances were somewhat untidy. And as a matter of fact, in some respects, the survival of Mahaprabhu's movement was at stake. I don't doubt that it would have gone on in some form. But nevertheless, the Bengali Vaishnava groups had become factionalized, and they'd become factionalized mostly on the basis of personalities, but also on the basis of bhavas. Nityananda Prabhu's bhava, Advaita Prabhu's bhava, Narahari's bhava, Gadadhara's bhava, they're not all the same. And so according to their bhava, their interpretation of Chaitanya Tattva was different. They all agree on one principle, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is an incarnation of Krishna. If you look at Chaitanya Bhagavat and Chaitanya Mangal, everybody agrees. But how to understand Mahaprabhu as an incarnation is very easy. There's all kinds of, when we had Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara, it's a common thing. If your guru is Brahma lean, if your guru is one with God, like we were just saying, then he is God. So he's an avatar, he's avatari, he's everything. But what is it? But in the Vaishnava conception, you can't do that. And especially not after Rupa Goswami, because he says, Rasena Utkrishyate Krishna. So that you measure according to rasa. So how can you understand rasa? How does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stand up according to rasa? Well, we know right away that Madhurya and Aishwarya are divided. So if you have a concept of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that's something like you hear sometimes Gaura Narayana. And in Chaitanya Bhagavat, displays of Aishwarya, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu suddenly calling on Sudarshan Chakra to come and kill Jagai and Madhai, and only being stopped by Nityananda's appeal to be merciful, or showing Varaha forms, or climbing up on the altar and revealing his divine Swarup to everybody. All very Aishwaryamoy Leelas. And it calls into question the entire purpose of Aishwarya and what's the relationship with Aishwarya and Madhurya. And how, that's of course a vast topic that I don't really want to distract myself too much by. But at any rate, Rupa Goswami establishes the rasa credentials of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And those rasa credentials of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu basically say that Mahaprabhu is an appendix to Radha Krishna Leela. It's not a different Leela, but it's part of the same Leela, only expressed in a way that makes it accessible as a transcendent path to the people of this world. Ekala malakarami kotofol kaibo. Mahaprabhu tastes as many of the fruit from his garden of prem as he can, but says, no, I can't eat all these fruits. Somebody else must also share it. So that's the role. And the inside there is this aswadana of Leela, and externally is Krishna himself, is the Yuga Dharma, preaching of Yuga Dharma, which includes Raganuga Bhakti. So that's Rupa Goswami's Siddhanta. And that's the Siddhanta that Kaviraj Goswami is also explaining. And this is the Siddhanta also that Narottam, Shyamananda and Srinivas Acharya came back to Bengal carrying. So, with the confusion in the Vaishnava Sampradaya, Narottam Das called a vast assembly to Ketari. Janava Mata was the most prominent guest. But people were there, like Kavi Karnapur, and people from Srikhanda, and from all the Vaishnava families. There were representations there. And the conclusion, several things had to be concluded. Narottam Das opened up the road to worship of worship of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Nagara Bhav by establishing Vishnupriya Gaura deities. He didn't establish Nitai Gaura deities, he was Vishnupriya Gaura. But nevertheless, Vishnupriya, she stands in for the Gadadhar and Narahari people. But the essence of it all was to establish the Vrindavana Siddhanta and the Vrindavan Bhav. So therefore, Nandishwara Patisutatve, Sachi Sunam Nandishwara Patisutatve. Now the first part of the verse is also very difficult. Not so difficult when you understand. Na dharmang sruti kana niruktam kila kuru Raje Radha Krishna Prachura Paricharyami Hatanu. So here are the words dharma and adharma. Shruti Gana Niruktam. Don't do it. Na dharma, na adharma. Adharma is easy enough to understand. Don't engage in sinful activity. Don't get distracted. I promise you, my dear mind, taste this fruit of prem. You'll find nothing better. The mind seeks pleasure in adharma. Adharma is attractive because there's a thrill involved. And so that thrill is exciting for the mind, especially when the period of danger or anxiety is over and the sense of accomplishment arises. Then there is happiness there, rajasic happiness. Tamas and rajas, symbiotic relationship. You bungee jump, right? You jump from a bungee. And so that's, or a parachute. So when you jump from the parachute, naturally the body and mind are in a state of heightened alert, adrenaline, danger. Even if you know, still the body will react. I'm going to die. You climb off the side of a mountain. One slip and you die. And somehow or another you have to face that anxiety. Tamagun, actually. Death wish. Facing death. How close can I get to death? And so sometimes people fall off mountains. Their parachutes don't open. The bungee breaks. But if it doesn't, the exhilaration to have looked death in the face and to have survived. So most people think that, and it is true also, because spiritual life requires the same kind of challenge to the self. What is vairagya? Vairagya is also a kind of thanatos. The world is telling me happiness comes this way. And I say no. Everybody is saying that happiness comes from externals. Happiness comes from this. And we say no. But at the same time, there is vairagya there. So it's vairagya to that. Every action contains vairagya, because any decision you make is one yes against a billion no's. Right? If I say I'm going to do this, and here I am, I'm giving this video talk. So as I'm giving this video talk, there's a million things I could be doing, but I'm not doing them. Right? So you make a decision, that means there's vairagya. So vairagya here, na dharmang na dharmang. So adharmam is easy to understand. You look for pleasure in adharma because of the thrill, but in actual fact, the parinati, it depends, of course. Tamagun has many, many levels. the psychology of the thrill seeker. But the Vaishnava is not a thrill seeker. A Vaishnava is a reality seeker. But is reality in dharma? So the first thing, so he says, adharma, yeah, okay, sinful activity, we understand. You can give that up. What about adharma? What about dharma? So dharma, well, eobajja, age koho a. In the instructions to Ramananda Rai, Mahaprabhu tells him when he suggests varnashram dharma, eobajja, age koho a. Dharma is bhajya. The dharmas, whether it's in especially varnashram dharma, so all dharmas are really varnashram dharmas, duties, varnashram dharma. Whatever duties you have are really varnashram dharma. Whatever obligations you have, those are all dharmas. I go to university because I have to get a degree, so I can get a job, so I can have a family, maintain my family, so that I can enjoy a happy life. So it's my duty to do all the to fulfill all the obligations that are necessary to get my degree, and then when I get a job, to work in such a way that I can make a decent living. Those are all dharmas. But they're all dharmas, they're all deha dharma. They're all connected to the body. And not connected to the body in the way that a yogi connects them, because the deha dharmas are on multiple levels. The whole point of Bhagavad Gita there is to show you something about the multiple levels of dharma, and then to come to the conclusion of saying sarva dharman parityajya, that's where you're ultimately headed. But when you say sarva dharma, I was saying this verse to somebody the other day, and he said, well, isn't Radha Krishna worship also a dharma? Because here what Raghunath Das Goswami says, na dharmang shruti gana niruktam kila kuru Raje Radha Krishna prachura paricharyami hirtanu. You come and you worship Radha and Krishna. So worshipping Radha and Krishna, I always say, that's the Jaiva Dharma, that's your ultimate dharma, the dharma of the pure soul. Jiver Swarupai Nitya Krishna Das. Krishna Tatastha Shakti Bheda Bhed Prakash. So the essence of the jiva is to be a servant or a worshipper of God. Or here when he says Prachura Paricharyam, what does he mean? Prachura Paricharyam. So he's saying this before he talks about Sachi-Suna and before he talks about the Guru. But I started from the Guru and Mahaprabhu to begin with. But what Raghunath Das Goswami is saying, that the Prachura Paricharya, go into the Nitya Leela and worship Radha and Krishna there, see Radha and Krishna there, enter into that Leela, make that Leela your reality. And then you see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu not from the external point of view, and you see the Guru not from the external point of view, but you see them as internal to this divine realm. So in that divine realm, the duality of dharma and adharma does not exist. Even though this is the dharma of the soul, it's the pure dharma of the soul. And when he says dharma, adharma, he means related to body and mind of the material world. But still, that may conflict with the dharmas of the material world. That's the point. Your duties in the material world, vairagya is radically opposed. It says, what is the use? Like the gopis, when they come to Krishna, and Krishna tells them, go back home and do your dharma. Yat patya patya suhridam anuvrittir anga Strinam swadharma iti dharma vidatvayoktam astveva metat upadesha pade tvayishe. You are the Atma. Atma. Anyway, so he says that the gopis come and they say to Krishna, you telling us to go and worship our husbands and our families and our, the friends of our family and all the relatives, telling us that it's a woman's duty to serve her husband and her family. All right, that's okay. You know what religion is. You're a dharmavit. So you're a dharmavit. We assume that you know what you're talking about. Those verses are lovely. Those verses and the multiple meanings that all the different acharyas have taken out of them. The multiple levels on which the gopis are simultaneously chastising and mocking and pretending to disagree and begging for mercy and so on. So here in this verse, the gopis are really showing their logic. Astvevam etad upadeshapade tvayishe. There, you're the bandhu, you're the atma. Yeah, tanubritam kila bandhur atma. Atma suhrit tanubritam kila bandhur atma. Patir, you are the pati. Guru Bharta Prabhu Sakshi. So Krishna is saying, you go and serve your husbands, and the gopis say, well, you're right, but you are the real husband. You are the soul of all beings. So when you say to serve your husband, you really mean serve me. Very important. The gopis say to Krishna, when you say, go and serve your husbands, see me in your husband, then you're really saying, serve me. So here we are. So the dharma and adharma, the gopis say that you understand the real purpose of dharma. The purpose of all the dharmas is to lead you to this point where you have direct sakshatkara, direct perception of the supreme absolute truth. That is the dharma of the soul. The dharma of the soul is to be one with God. And all the practices are meant to lead us to that one goal, to that one point. So the other dharmas and adharmas, those just get in the way. Forget it all and concentrate on serving Radha and Krishna. I'm not going to go on too much, but I do want to read a little something. This, of course, I'm going to translate it. This is a whole section. There's a book called Prema Pattanam. If you look it up, it's on my blog, and I've gone into some detail of the contents of what are in the Prema Pattanam. Basically, Prema Pattanam is talking about the spiritual world, the city of love, the Prema Pattanam. That it's maybe I should wait and do this on the next one. I'm sorry I didn't save my place. The Prema Pattanam is talking about, here we go. So he's talking about this Prema Pattanam as being a place where a world of contradictions. The world of love is a world of contradictions. Nothing is what it seems. So, yatra dharma eva dharma stapita. So adharma is established as dharma. The gopis are leaving aside their husbands and going to Krishna. That's not dharma, that's adharma. But seen from that higher transcendental perspective, it's the ultimate dharma. So here dharma, adharma, has taken the form of dharma. Adharma is dharma. And that is actually quite a long, lengthy passage with many, many quotes. And as a matter of fact, the verse I just quoted, right? Preshto bhavan tanubritam kila bandhuratma. I'm sorry, I was not getting the last line there. So yatpatya patya suridam anuvrittirangastrinam swadharma iti dharma vidatvayoktam astvaeva metadupadesha pade tvayishe preshto bhavan tanubritam kila bandhuratma. But there are many others. So if I was to go through them all, it would rather be a lengthy talk, and I don't want to spend that much time because that's almost an entirely new subject. But here he starts, of course, with Sarva Dharman Parityaja. So right away, the first principle, the world of love, Sarva Dharman Parityaja. Follow the dharma of love, prema dharma. Prema dharma has external and internal aspects. What you want is you want to become prema moy, because the jagat, the spiritual world, is made of prem. It's solidified prem. Prema takes form. And when prema takes form, it takes this multiplicity of forms. The root form is Radha and Krishna. And when you enter into that world, you also become prema moy. That's our goal. Prema prayojana. So sarva dharman parityaja, you have to give up all other goals. Love means exclusivity. But be careful what you're being exclusive to. Then he quotes, of course, Tyaktva swadharmam charanam bhujam hare bhajanna pakota tato pate tato yati yatra kova bhadrama bhuta mushya kim kuvartha apto bhajatam swadharmata. Very beginning of the Chaitanya, of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is obviously telling you the same thing. Tyaktva, so what does it mean? Vyasadeva spent his whole time teaching Dharma. What is Mahabharata all about? Mahabharata, Bhishma teaching Dharma. It's the main part of the Mahabharata. And the Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharman Parityaja, is only one little part. One little part of the Mahabharata. It's the important part. It's the main part. It's the essence. But that Sarva Dharman Parityaja part has not been given full explanation. So Narada tells Vyasa, you made a mistake. Jagupsitam dharma Jagupsitam dharma krite nushasata. You've allowed everything. You put everything. You want everybody to do dharma, and so you're giving everybody a chance to dovetail their worst tendencies into dharma. Yeah, go ahead, kill an animal for sacrifice so that you can eat meat. Why not? There's some sin there, but you can get out of it by doing it properly. You can jump from this airplane. We give you a parachute. Kill the animal, say some mantras, and you won't karmically get too messed up. But of course you're going to get karmically messed up. Just like a person who's jumping from a plane to get thrills. It's going to affect some aspect of his spiritual life. Let's not go there. But here's Tyaktva Swadharmam. What Narada says to Vyasa, you've made it possible for people to engage in jugupsitam, in horrendous or in disgusting activities. And you've given them some spiritual, religious justification for that. So now if you, the trouble is, once you've done that, then people are going to think, oh yeah, well, this is also dharma. So who are you to tell me that I shouldn't do it? So in actual fact, you've done a great disservice. You think you've done a service by including the sinners and the materialistic people on the path of dharma. But in actual fact, you've confused them about what dharma is. So, Tyaktva swadharmang charanam bhujang harer bhajan apakota pate tato yadi tatra kava bhadram abhut amushya kim. So if a person gives up all of his swadharmas to worship Krishna and somehow or another falls down, in other words, just like Arjuna in the Gita asks, what happens if you fall down? You've given up everything, then you fall down. You fail. What happens to you then? You didn't do your dharma. You abandoned your dharma, but you didn't accomplish the purpose for which you abandoned it. So where does that leave you? Chinna Brahma Vinashyati. You're like a cloud that is torn apart. I'm going to continue this. I don't like to have these go more than 30 minutes because uploading them becomes a very difficult task. From our India, it takes hours to upload. So I'm going to stop here and I'm going to do one more today. What's so nice is that you don't have to listen to me all the way through. You can listen to me in chunks. And if you don't want to listen to me, you can just turn me off. Isn't that great? So let's do one more, maybe a shorter one, but I want to go through this Prem Pattanam because it's really nice.